but I know that there are people behind me, behind the curtain, being like, "What a," and I love it. I eat that for breakfast. I brush my teeth with the with the unnecessary resentment of my enemies. And I'm just gonna keep doing it. There's no stopping me.
What's up, all you goofy goobers of the internet? Mark with Kardavox Academy here, as always, because it's always just me. And today, it's actually not just me. Today, we have a guest. We're doing one of our co-reactions, and I'm very excited about it. We're checking out the new Traitors song, New World Order. And I'm very excited because in just a moment, we're going to be bringing Tyler himself, the vocalist of the band, on to talk with us. And it's going to be a blast. We've been working trying to get this co-reaction set up for a little while, and we're finally here. But before we get to that, I got to get through all the YouTube stuff that y'all are going to skip anyway, but it's mandatory. If I don't do it, my business partner scolds me and I can't go through that. I have disappointment issues. It's a problem in my life, right? So if you're new to the channel, again, my name is Mark. I am a metal vocalist myself. I'm in a band called Kardashev. Check it out if you want. Don't check it out if you want. It's fine either way. And I'm also a metal vocal coach. I full-time spend my days teaching people how to make all sorts of gurgly noises safely and efficiently for years to come so they don't hurt themselves and they can do all sorts of cool stuff. And on this channel, what we do is we take the reaction format, we break it down, we make it educational, we pause a lot. So if you don't like that, you're in the wrong spot. And we talk vocals. And normally when I do it, there are moments where I kind of have to guess, right? There are moments where I have to kind of say like, I think this is what's going on, or, based on the layering and the mixing, it's kind of hard to tell. So it's always fun when I have the actual vocalist here with me, especially because I'll be straight up. There are some things that I hear in Traitors that like I can't replicate. So it's going to be kind of cool to just be like, what the heck is even that? If you like the comment, be sure to like, share, and content. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot. If you really like the content, check us out on Patreon. That gives you access to our Discord server, where we do all sorts of cool stuff, listening events, karaoke events, random chatting with people across the big spherical globe upon which we live. And that's it. That's all I have. So that's enough from me. We're going to do a mandatory YouTube pause here, and I'm going to leave that in the video. We're going to do a mandatory YouTube pause, and then we're going to pull in Tyler himself. Here we go. Awesome. What's up, dude? How you doing? Good to have you here. How you feeling today?
I am feeling lovely. I am feeling wonderful. Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Yes, you're welcome. For anybody who doesn't know, my business partner is he's creeping in the background. You won't hear him on the call. He's just like in a non-video portion of Discord. All we can really see is the dull glow of his cigarette in the corner as he watches us. He is always watching. He is always watching. But man, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this video for a couple reasons. Number one, I have wanted to talk about you with your vocals with you for quite a while now, because you've got a couple tones that like, listen, I just don't do those. Like I can't make them happen. And also I think you've got a unique approach to your vocals, your tones. And of course, I've done, I think what a lot of other people have done, which is like seeing the videos of you on TikTok or Instagram in your car. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try that too. And it just doesn't hit the same way. So I'm excited to talk about that. And also because I don't know if it was the last time you came through Arizona, but you came through with Scum and Left to Suffer, and it was a really sick show. And I always, when I see vocalists live, I wonder like, okay, they sound cool recorded, how do they sound live? And it was awesome and it was phenomenal. So I think there's going to be some cool stuff to talk about. So yeah, I'm excited. I appreciate you being here, dude.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. No problem at all.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been asking about it too. So it's good. It's a good mashup. Now, this new song that we've got here, thanks for sending it over. We get a little sneak peek. New World Order. Tell me, well, okay, it's up to you. It's up to you. I always let the guests on the channel, they can either give me some context, they can tell me a little bit of what to expect, or I can go in and like I think y'all literally sent this like today or yesterday.
Yes. Like maybe like a total of 47 minutes ago.
Exactly 47.
Yes.
So I can either go in. I mean, I've heard your band before, so of course I feel like I kind of know what to expect. But you can make me go in blind, or you can give me some context, give me some details. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'll be vague. I have a little bit of experience with touring with bands that I grew up listening to, and unfortunately, I I've had some experiences with people that I really looked up to that were not pleasant in any experience whatsoever. So this is
Okay.
kind of like a call out to all the bitter people in that are a part of the music industry that make you act like things have to be done a certain way because it took them that long to achieve. And they're, it's kind of the same concept as when you join like a new team at a job, and there's that one guy who's been doing the same job at the same pay grade for 30 years, and he thinks because of the way he did things that you should do it the same exact way. And New World Order is kind of about how it's what did I break down? I wrote it down in one sentence. New World Order is the sad realization that the people that you look up to are in everything are in it for everything but you. It's kind of the real, like, as soon as the curtain calls, and they, behind the curtain, behind the scenes, it's not always pretty. As soon as that curtain closes, the smile goes away. Oh, I want to be this, image for people where I'm super super nice and super welcoming and really open, but behind closed doors, they're not like that at all.
Mm,
And if anything, I don't do very well with humor at other people's expense,
sure.
and that was a lot of the things that I had dealt with being on tour with some of these bigger bands over the past few years. And I feel like they just do it because they're getting older and they still want to be top dog, and there's no room for that.
Mm,
There's always going to be a band that achieved success in a way faster fashion in a shorter amount of time, and that's kind of what New World Order is about. It's just kind of like an industry call out, and like I said, my experiences with some touring acts is just, it kind of makes you take the cape off of your heroes for sure. Don't meet your heroes, but then, I want to be an influence to others, so I almost can't say that because of the position that I'm in. So it's a fine line for sure, but that's pretty much it. And we can break the lyrics down too,
sure.
part by part if you'd like or whatever.
Yeah, that's a really like, I gotta be real. That's a very interesting topic because, like, I feel like and I could totally be wrong. Like, I could be entirely wrong, but I feel like in metal, like, you don't get a lot of industry call outs like that. Usually with metal, it's like, you know, just sort of generic, like, I am the abyss in which you will decay, like that sort of thing.
Right. And
Or
yeah, and I'm not a mage, um, or a high priest, and the verbiage and the lyricism in Traders has always kind of been like a street feel with rhyme schemes, and like I was raised on hip hop.
sure.
I have two older sisters that are 13 years older, so I was listening to Outkast and Juvenile when I was like 4 years old.
Okay.
So it all started there for me, and then I worked my way into death metal when I was like 12 or 13, I believe.
Mm,
And from there, I found Job for a Cowboy in like 2005 or six, and then from there, it
dude.
all just took off.
I feel like Job for a Cowboy is where it started for a lot of people of like our age, of our generation. That
Yes.
first, like, that first, like, pig squeal he does in Two Minute Machine, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, it just it
ugh,
just it just ropes you in.
it
I
does.
was the I was on like direct TV metal, just like, and I never really knew what death metal was, but every time I heard something heavier, it would be like Slayer, and then it would be like Dio's Rainbow in the Dark like 15 times an hour.
Sure.
So I'm just like, this is not exactly what I'm looking for, and I just didn't know that death metal existed
Uh huh.
like when I was that young, but I already had taken a liking to extreme over the top music. Like, I love hip hop. I
Yeah.
loved when hip hop took that transition to get more ridiculous and outrageous, and I still enjoy like listening to like trap music and all that shit, and like that's like half of my playlists.
Sure.
But I just love that over the top feel. I love when music is heavily exaggerated. That's kind of how Trader started. When Steven showed me the drums for the first song, I'm like, cut it in half. He's like, what do you mean? It's 100 BPM. I can't make this song 50 BPM. I'm like, oh yes, you can. And I did it to be funny and to have
Sure.
fun and to ironically make music, and then it just took off for us.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
So
Well, that's a lot of context for me to keep in mind, and I appreciate it because going in blind is tough. Going in blind is super tough.
Absolutely.
That all, with y'all's music and with the content, that kind of makes sense. That kind of makes sense that you've got like a background, at least in listening to like hip hop, rap, that sort of thing. So, remind me, partway through the video, I'm not going to ask it now because people are going to be like, "Get to the song already."
Right.
But I have about halfway through, as a metal vocalist who also likes hip hop and rap. I'll be willing to bet you know more about it than I do. I have a question I always like to ask, so I'm going to put that in my think meets to try to remember. But okay, let's go ahead. Let's check out New World Order.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's all we need. Let's do it. Okay, the music is written in such a way that that's a pretty good pause point. So
it pauses right on me going, ah!
Oh, that's actually kind of a cool shot, realistically.
Good thumbnail. Oh yeah, Toddy does a great job. He's an awesome director.
Yeah, that's killer, actually. Yeah, like listen, I don't know anything about like cameras or directing, but I think it's cool. We got some depth of field going. Like your like nose and the hair in the front is in focus, but like as it goes back, it's a little bit out of focus. That's cool. Also,
yeah, I love the archway in the back. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's killer. And we're within. This is kind of an inside joke for the viewers, but we're within the 40-second window. It always happens. The first pause, 90% of the time, for whatever reason, is in the 40-second window.
Beautiful.
So first and foremost, I mean, all of the review buzzwords that we have to say, right? But it's true, like very aggressive, exactly what I would expect. And I actually let it. There were a couple of parts where I wanted to pause, but like I felt like the song was continually building. And in this 43-second window, we're already hearing a good array of the sounds that you make, and I think kind of what you're known for. And we're going to talk about all of it. But actually, one thing I want to focus on, the place I want to start right now is the lower vocals, right? The ones that we're kind of listening to right now. One thing that I really enjoy about your voice is that, obviously with metal vocals, we have different places. We can be wide open, right? We can have a lot of open space in the back, a lot of open space in the front. With you, especially on those like really like hissy vocals, I'm going to do my own version so you know what I'm talking about. It's not going to be as good, but it's like this sort of like like you're almost like blowing out. There's a lot of times where I can hear that the front of your mouth is very closed and narrow, especially on your articulation, but the back is wide open. And that's a difficult balance for a lot of people to do. Is that something that like while you were developing your vocal style, you were like, how can I create all of these swirly, slishy sounds in the front while still maintaining like openness in the back? Or is this just kind of something that happened organically for you as time went on?
So I am self-taught since I was 17. I was just walking home from the bus one day and I'm like trying to do vocals, and just going through the throes of like going like not really knowing how to do it.
Yeah.
I used to put the phone up to my mouth and like I would use the noise from a phone or like a song and I would find pockets, not making any voices like coming out, but I would use the voices or the vocals coming in from like a Whitechapel song per se. And I would start going like, I'd be like, that's how he does it. He goes like, and I, would place my tongue and stuff like that. But eventually I learned how to, basically just like kind of constantly be able to talk in slow motion like this and just have my throat all the way open. And I found like a bit of control in there. So what you're hearing here is there's a little bit of, I kind of like to write my own little enunciation book, So when I do vocals like this, it's like if I do it without vocals, it's like unspeakable violence with no repercussions. It's like there's a lot of enunciation and there's a lot of like I'm kind of creating my own not language so to speak, but it's like it isn't just A-E-I-O-U. It's A-E-I-O and then my U is U, which is like that really loose like that narrowed sound you hear, but everything is constantly, when I push it down here, it's wide open. So it's like everything is, it's like slow motion. So
Okay.
when I do those vocals, but is there anything in specific that, like, is there a specific vocal that stood out to you that you were trying to understand more?
I mean, if I was to listen to this 4 or 5 times, then I'm sure I would have a lot more, a lot of like, that's the trouble with these first time reactions is I'm always like taking it all in, like in the moment as I go. I do want to talk to you about that slow motion voice that you have, because I use something sort of similar. And that slidey vowel thing, right? That makes a lot of sense. A lot of those vowels you were using, it's totally a goofy word. If for anybody viewing, you're allowed to laugh. Diphthongs, right? When two different vowels slide together to create their own vowel, or their own syllable, I should say. What does that slow motion speaking voice feel like? Like when you're doing that, to as best as you can, describe to me kind of what the muscles in your throat feel like they're doing.
I feel like my like I literally feel like I envision a pitch drop. And when I envision that, I'm able to open my throat up all the way, and can literally feel this part of my throat here drop. And
Okay.
so when I open up, you actually can see my hands. I go,
Yeah.
so you can see my throat literally.
Sure. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
I got full control, baby. But I mean, I'm talking like this part goes. This is like the bottom of like my Adam's apple area
Mhm.
here, and when I open my throat up like this, you can just see the whole thing just go bloop.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't feel any stress up here. I can stay loosey goosey. I can do whatever I want, but
Sure.
it's all just that throat control. I honestly even do like even when I'm like eating food, if I feel, I'm like, oop, I took a big bite, I can just literally just open my throat and the food goes plop.
Are you
So
able to do that thing? Are you able to do that thing where people have like a huge like jug of beer and they just like put it all back in one go?
almost. I have
Oh.
tried it. I have tried it before. My record time, I believe, on a 16-ounce beverage. I'm not
Mhm.
much of a drinker anymore, but it was about 3 seconds because I was able to just be like, done. But I still gotta take gulps. Some people can just be like, funnel.
Yeah.
I can't do that without literally almost dying. So,
Oh, I'm
um,
not even. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try. I do. I do have a question for you though. If you could, and at any time I ask you to do vocals, you're welcome to say like, "Nah, man, I don't feel like it," and that's
yeah,
fine. But and I'll tell you why. All my viewers who have watched plenty of my videos, they probably know what I'm thinking right now, and I want to inspect a little bit. So, can you take your fingers, put them on your larynx there, that voice box, and then in that vocal style, where things just feel open, you can either just do a couple tones, you can do like some of the lyrics from this song, but I kind of want to see what your larynx does while you're screaming, if you could.
yeah. All right, yeah. So this is a condensed microphone, so I'm gonna turn the gain down a little bit, otherwise
Oh,
it might
sure.
clip.
Sure.
Make sure. Hey, beautiful. Hello. So, all right. So when I first started, it
Mm-hmm.
was I call this the bass voice, and this is actually where I'm able to really teach people how to find that unique voice inside of you.
Sure.
Because like everybody else, where you start, you're kind of just like, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I want, without changing my up here, I wanted to get lower down here. So I was eventually just like, you know, and then eventually I went, it's like down and over. And I go, and that sacrifices nothing up here. So when I add my tongue in, like all the old school vocalists, they would be like, so that's with a little bit of tongue curl.
Mm-hmm.
And without it, it's so, and that has nothing going on up here. So then I can add like and you'll hear little hiccups here and there because like my
Oh
vocals
yeah.
are very, I wouldn't say they're strained or anything by any means, but it does take a little bit of warming up and practice to get down to that
Sure.
pocket. And I have gone to like a physical therapy guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've developed a small callus from doing the vocals the way that I do. Um,
Where I'm sorry, I'm jumping in over you. Please continue.
no. So right here, I was getting worried for a while. I'm like, oh, I know I'm doing this right because I'm not losing my voice. It does not hurt. If anything, the more I do them, the more I can hone in on them. This is the day before we start our tour, so about 8 days in from today, I will be able to nail this like in almost 100% succession.
Sure.
But for a while, when I was swallowing, I would feel a small click right here. I'm like, well, I don't fucking like that.
Yeah.
It's a combination of stress and anxiety because then you gulp a lot when you're stressed and anxious.
Yeah.
But it's also from the fact that I'm not doing lows from up here. I'm technically starting my low here, and then I can make it lower up here. So when I like to just really quick when I warm up, let me turn up my gain a little bit when I'm talking. So when I warm up, and this is a shout out to Tom. I kind of took a Tom Barber from Chelsea Grin.
Sure.
When I warm up, he showed me this thing where he takes a nice deep breath and then goes over it again. And then I did this thing where I would just slowly release like he does, but I would go. I can do that for about 10, 20, however long. And it just kind of feels relaxing. It opens me up a little bit. And it helps. It's almost like a deep, like a scuba diving lung exercise.
Yeah.
So they can take longer, deeper breaths and have more control. So when I do like these lower vocals, I was feeling that weird callus, but he said it's a pretty weird phenomenon, but there's nothing wrong. So technically, like, yeah, that's pretty much like where that pocket comes from. So like, when you do like the higher register stuff with this not dropping, it's just but when I add the pocket, it's so there's a little bit of it's just like a pitch lower.
Yeah, for sure. So first off, it sounds sick. Like I think we can all agree it sounds really cool. So the reason I was poking and prodding and asking all these questions is because now when I say this, please just take it as it is, right? Because you sound sick and you've had a long vocal career, right? So that definitely is a true thing. But I always teach people the exact opposite way. You know what I mean? So when I teach people the main way that I go about it is I talk about leaving your throat entirely neutral. Oh, well, okay, no, not entirely neutral, but not necessarily like using the larynx as our steering wheel and creating most of the resonance in the mouth. So, utilizing like utilizing like a lot of that space. Now, I'm not a physician or a doctor or anything like that, so I can't tell you that like that's what the callus came from. I just don't have the qualifications to make those kinds of claims. But that is usually the direction that I go, especially because like as we've evolved as humans, we've been built to have a pretty big resonance chamber here. So one of the main warm-ups that I do to kind of open my when I'm doing vocals. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been on stage because we're one of those lame studio bands now.
Studio bands rock still, because you release that one song and it takes off, and then you have to be a live band.
Hope not. Hope not.
Yeah, you have a baby. So.
I know. Yeah, honestly,
don't get famous now.
Honestly, like if like at this point, like we were offered like a big tour, I'd probably have to like find somebody to fill in for me.
I feel you, man.
You just got to do it. But one of the main things that I do to open myself, because I focus on opening up here, is I do like just lips together, jaw dropped, and I do like an active listening. So like, let's say you and I are having a conversation. Well, we're having a conversation now, but let's say you're telling me something, and I'm just listening, and I'm and I focus on feeling like a swarm of bees in the front of my mouth. Like if I can feel a ton of buzz and a ton of resonance in the front of my mouth, that gives me access to a lot of low, dark, rich tones because it's all about frequencies, right? It's all about the stack of frequencies in our voice.
Yeah, and it sounds warm already when you warm up. So
yeah. Now, again, this isn't me telling you to change your technique or do anything. I just think it's interesting we have these two different ways of going about it. I've got more questions, but people are probably like, play the fucking song. So
no, please feel free to ask away and annoy the fuck out of your audience. I'm sure they love that.
Well, I always tell them it's my channel. I do what I want. To a degree, respectfully.
To a degree.
So with that warm up you were doing, where you like take a breath and then you add and then you add, do you do that? Is that like something you save just for warming up, or is that something that you try to think about with your breathing as you're actually screaming?
So I really like just like to do it as I warm up. I was able to be graced by the presence of Melissa Cross, and she showed me. She's an incredible vocal coach, and
Yeah.
she was able to just to tell me, don't take deep breaths on stage, and then start going because all too much oxygen, whatever, what have you. Just nice,
Mhm.
quick, short breaths, and release. And so that would probably make me fucking pass out on stage if I was just like, one long one line, and then do it again and do it again. So
Yeah.
she taught me to just take that every opportunity you can to get that short breath in, and it actually has helped in the long run for sure.
Dude, the by the way, I know all about it. You know what I mean? The by the way breath. By the way. Oh, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't know how old you are, but are we roughly around the same age? I'm 34.
I'm 30.
Okay, yeah. So we grew up, 4 years is not that much. We grew up because
that's like the generation that's like where the music gap just about begins. So yeah, we're in the same realm.
Cool. Yeah, because I remember watching her DVD and like, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on there. No, no doubt at all. Yeah, the reason I was asking you because I was like, oh my god, if he's breathing like that,
We have a DVD.
Melissa Cross has a DVD.
Oh, I thought you said traders. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, dude, you've got
I
like a
wanna
whole.
see this.
You've got you've got a whole van tour and everything. You didn't know that? No, I'm
We've
kidding.
been watching you.
Oh yeah.
She definitely really loves the high register stuff, and that was the one
Yeah.
thing she said. I love your lows, but your music is so low. You need to contrast it with some more high end vocals. That's why you hear a lot of higher end stuff in this song, especially because I wanted to keep that in mind for this.
Was that recently that you spoke with her?
It was actually years ago, but so we did our last EP was 3 years ago, which is the longest gap, between everything that happened in the past 3 years. And it was just a lot of low register stuff. It was low. I felt like that EP just wasn't transparently, it wasn't our best work. I feel like we kind of rushed it a little bit, and it was just done off of nerves rather than fun. And this band was built on fun. It was built on the more serious and the more, if you get too hungry, you'll chew your own leg off. So I felt like that was kind of the moment, because we were the pressure was on after Anger Issues. I mean, that hit so hard for us. Anger Issues did so well.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a tough one to follow up on, but now we feel like we're picking up the pace a little bit, and we're starting to get back to like that good momentum, and we've hit the right pocket for the type of quick, like the quick type of vibe that you feel in this song we've listened to so far, and it kind of stays around that tempo for the most part.
Sure.
So.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense with y'all's music, and especially like your live performances. I mean, I've only seen you live once, but especially with the live performance, going for more like fun meets aggression, right? That totally makes sense. But yeah, okay, let's listen to more of this cool song. We've got this goofy goober who's just been staring at us the whole time, so I guess we should
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's keep going. I'm going to pause right there. It's probably a terrible spot. But real quick, I know we're here to talk vocals, but shout out to your drummer. I love the cymbal play he's doing right there. That is like...
He is the meat and potatoes, man.
Dude,
couldn't do it without him.
I feel like every band has that. Like we couldn't do it without Nico, our guitarist. If he was like, I'm done, that'd be it. It's over. But yeah, like
I feel
the
you.
cymbal play, super cool, super good. So good job, drummer. Very
Hell
much.
yeah, I absolutely love his style of play. Steven is the one responsible for most of the revisions, and he does bring out the best in me. There is honestly a lot of scratched traders content at this point. We could probably have an encyclopedia because he's like, I know you can do better. I know you can deliver better.
Yeah.
And he hypes me up a lot. And he's just like, don't just take these takes just because you're already done, just because it was easy. He's like, I know you can add more aggression here. I know you can do this and that. And sometimes there's a bit of a barrier there. There's like a bit of a communication issue where like he can say something in one sentence, but he's also trying to hype me up, so it'll take him like 5 minutes to explain a 3-second part. But he's just hyping me up. He's like he'll give me like the Friday Night Lights spiel, bro. He'll be like, "You remember when we started this band? You remember when I woke you up and you told me to turn around and I didn't? I said no. I'm already here. We're making a band." He's like, "We're here now. This is your moment." He's like, you gotta give it your all. And at some points I would get so pissed off at Steven that the music would sound better. So then he would purposely piss me off, and I'm like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. He's like, that's the best way to get it out of you. I'm like, maybe not. But we are yin and yang. We like to say Batman and Joker because we're like arch rivals, but we can't kill each other. We need each other to survive.
Yeah. That's super important.
He's my guy, and you can't really notice it in the music video, but Steven is an avid collector of vintage t-shirts and vintage hats and stuff like that. And he is wearing a vintage Ice Cube t-shirt, which is like almost a $2,000 shirt. And then he gave Alan and our old bassist Dave is actually playing bass on this song. He's like, hey man, let's run it. He's wearing a Tupac shirt that's like the same price. I'm like, oh my god, like it's hilarious. Like, and when we're on tour, Steven will sometimes just be like, fuck it, and he'll just use his t-shirts as a blanket, and I'll be like, that's like a $4,000 blanket, bro. Just go to a truck stop and just get a cheap blanket. But yeah, he brings the style, he brings the flair to traders, definitely.
Yeah,
but I love what he does, 100%.
That's nuts. I've known a couple people who collect vintage shirts, and it's crazy how expensive they can get.
Dude, it is nuts. I mean, they're true collector's pieces. There's a lot of bootlegs out there, but I guess you can with Steven's like the master of being able to figure these, and so that shirt was a reprint, blah blah blah. He's got all the knowledge.
Sure.
All of his stuff is original.
Yeah. I want to also mention something you said that's really important, is that how he kind of pushes you and eggs you on a little bit, because one thing that I have found is that a lot of the parts that, like with our music, that people will say like, hey, those are really cool vocals, I was gonna settle for something not as good. And our guitarist is just like, bro, come on, like you can do better than that. Or like, hey, like I feel like you just wrote that part because you're looking forward to going and getting food here in 10 minutes. But like, let's take our time on this section. And that's been a huge thing for me as well. Having somebody who's willing to like, I mean, he's nice about it. He's a cool guy, but somebody who's willing to like not let you settle. And as a vocalist, like having him do that, like I totally can relate to that. That's a really important person to have.
I truly believe that confrontation creates a lot of success. Is you've just got to be transparent. You can't hold anything in and be like, I guess I'll just let him do whatever he wants. Realistically, just because you're playing, an instrument does not mean that you're going to have a 100% success rate off the rip.
Oh,
and those guys definitely, they show no mercy in the studio with me. They're just like, do it again. So, but thankfully, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thankfully everybody's really in our little corner. We're all pretty nice to each other, but we do dig our heels in. I can't tell you how many times like Nico gives me some feedback, and in the studio I'm like kind of mad at him in the back of my head, and then I hear it back and I'm like, yeah, he was right. He was 100% correct. Like he was right and I was wrong. I'm going to do a hard shift here. I want to talk about your mids. Because there are different ways, of course, as you know, that people go about mids. A lot of people will do it the way that I do it, which is kind of the lazy way, where you just take a low and you open your mouth more. Like that's really what I do. But with you, I hear. So like with me, it sounds that way, right? I'm totally willing to say that. with my vocals, it sounds like, oh, that's a low with a more open embouchure, and that's a really great place for a lot of people to start. However, I feel that your lows and your mids have very distinctly different textures and timbres to them, right? So I guess my question is, when you're doing your mids, is it just that you're taking your low and opening it up, or are you kind of to me it sounds like you're shifting more things? That's an open question, but what are your thoughts on that?
So that pocket that I was mentioning about going low, where it goes down and
Mhm.
to the right a little bit.
Mhm.
I for my mids, I return to the original, traditional area where you're going to do vocals from your throat.
Mhm.
And then I do open my mouth a little bit more.
Okay.
And sometimes I can go a little higher up just to give it, more intensity if I do like a mid to high range stuff.
Mhm.
But I definitely return to that traditional pocket that a lot of vocalists that are, even the ones that are just learning, I call it the bass vocal. It's
Yep.
kind of where I return to, and I still add a little bit of accentuation with my jaw, where that's placed, my lips, my tongue, and I just, kind of find a pocket where I'm comfortable.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. Now, a lot of people watching this, such as myself, like I've heard your mids plenty of times with no music, because like I said, those Instagram and those TikTok videos. But if you feel up to it, again, you can be like, nah, I don't feel like it. Can we hear like a low and a mid, just a tone, like kind of back to back? Would you feel comfortable doing that?
Yeah, yeah. Let
Fuck,
me turn my gain
awesome.
down a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, man. I
So
appreciate that.
a low, like I said, the pocket is down here, so and so I would go like, and you can see it just goes it goes right below my fingers and to the right. I don't know why to the right, but that's the life it chose. And then for a mid, you know, I don't have to do anything up here.
Sure.
I can just keep that, and it's a lot more consistent than my low. My low can be a little fluttery sometimes. It can sound a little dry, where it goes like, a little bit,
Mhm.
which I do not like. But I'm also inside my own head hearing that happen. So
Mhm.
when you hear it over music, it does sound a lot better. If you strip my vocals down, you actually hear it a lot more often. But once all the music kicks in and a couple of my layers kick in, that sound kind of goes away. So I'm really
Yeah.
comfortable with how it comes out. And the mix that we got for this song was shout out to Cody Stewart. He actually focused on a lot of individual vocals rather than layer me the whole time.
Huh.
So I was a little nervous because I'm like, well, I don't want them to hear like the like noise, but he did a great job, and that definitely goes away, and we'll eventually get to the other ranges that people have names for and whatnot, but that mid sound, I've been working on bringing it higher.
Okay.
So when I go like, ah, I've been trying to go, "Ah!"
Yeah,
Those I
yeah.
can hold for a very long time because there's a lot of, there's like no stress. When I get lower, it takes a bit more out of me. I
Sure.
have to make sure I'm properly hydrated.
Mm.
Um, and I think that's number one. People are like, is it okay to smoke cigarettes or whatever and do vocals? As long as you're hydrated, for the most part, you should be good. If if you start to put a lot of effort into your stuff and you get winded, that's on you. But when it comes to having, it's when you feel like you can put less effort in, you'll hear me do it. You'll hear me do that high range stuff a little bit more on tour because I'm so comfortable in that pocket. It sounds
Sure.
so intense and so good.
Uh-huh.
There actually comes a point where my lows kind of go away temporarily that I'm comfortable with doing, and I'm able to completely adapt to my environment, like 7 or 8 days into tour, where I'm taking those mids and I make these crazy like false lows out of them.
Okay.
So like I'll be up in this pocket, ah, and I can start. I don't know if I can do it right now because I'm not on tour, but
Yeah.
I can start going like, and that's all up here again. That's all the traditional. That's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
That eventually that pocket kind of starts to fade a little bit when I go on tour and start doing it
Uh,
every day. I start to get so comfortable up here. I'm so good in this setting. I just stay there.
mm. Okay.
Oh,
So
and I get super fucking sidetracked, by the way. So if you ask me a question and I get sidetracked like 8 times, please just I'll forget sometimes too. I'll be like, "What was the question? I just talked for 8 minutes."
Dude,
So let me know.
don't even worry about it. Number one, because I am super long-winded. Like I'm amongst like my group of friends and other people I know. Like Mark is the long-winded one. I very
Yeah.
much can take a 3-section portion of a song and talk about it for 10, 20 minutes. But the other thing
Right.
is, just to be transparent, all of the videos like this that we do, the ones that people love and they share and they talk about and I see pop up, are the ones where me and the guests just kind of go off on tangents. So it's totally
Yeah.
fine. It's totally fine. Now, telling me all that, obviously you've got my gears whirring around. So, I want to poke and prod a little bit if you're cool with it.
Please.
What I'd like, and I think you'll be fine at it because I've heard you do stuff like this on the social media, is I think it'd be really interesting if you took one of your screams and slowly, and I'll give you an example of what I'm asking for, took one of your screams and slowly turned it into a clean voice. Like if I do that with well, my lows and mids are the same thing, right? So if I do that, right, and I go right there, I'm talking in a Kermit the Frog here type of voice.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. This is actually how I practice.
Oh, awesome.
I do not, when I want to find new tones or I want to know where I'm at, I will not sit there and strain myself if I don't need to. So I actually already have these pockets dialed in for you. When I do mids, I just go, I do use a little bit of my voice. So it's, and then the, that literally sounds like, and then I add, my shit in or whatever. But that's, it's like I said, it's this. That's why I was doing the slow motion voice, because it's that this is literally how I sound without doing that bass vocal, and it just, it just sounds like I'm, without going like, oh, slow motion. This is how a lot of people do that slow motion sound. They go, oh, I'm talking in slow motion. And for me, it's like, oh, I'm talking in slow motion. I don't have to do anything with my tongue. It's all dropped down and to the right, and I can completely disguise my talking voice with it.
Yeah.
It sounds a little terrifying. But that's where that comes from. And the mid range, it all kind of sounds like the bass vocal. Once again, it all kind of sounds the same coming out. It's like that mid voice.
I think that if you probably heard of it, or at least are aware of it. They did a laryngoscopy of Will Ramos a little while ago. I think that you'd be a really good candidate for that. I think so. Charismatic voice, if you're watching, I don't have the connections to set that up for us. But charismatic voice, if you're watching, I think you would be a good candidate, because when you pulled back, and by the way, when I say this, I'm doing the best I can with my ears, right? When you switched from your mid to your clean voice, I heard the space above your vocal folds, or at least I'm pretty sure I heard the space of your above your vocal folds release, right? I heard it kind of relax. So I think that there is something happening in that movement. And I think you're getting, and this is pretty common. I think you're getting a lot of distortion from a little bit of a closure of the supraglottal tissues, the tissues above the vocal folds. That then, as you go back to your clean voice, you're releasing into a relaxed state. Which it would just really be interesting to see that under us. We got to scope you, man. We got to get you scoped, of course, if you wanted to.
So, but I would like to announce something very special on this YouTube.
Okay.
I think this would be a great start for it. So a few years ago, the Charismatic Voice company reached out to me, and
no fucking way.
Yeah, so I was very lazy. I was very lazy, and I didn't take it. I just kind of let it fall by the wayside. But I am doing that again, but that's not the announcement. It's where and how. So hold on, I gotta get this. This is honestly really, really, really awesome. So let me just get this up. Vocal extravaganza. So we were going to have Adam on it, Adam Warren, but unfortunately he's busy. So Tyler Shelton from Traders, Joe Bad from Fit for an Autopsy, Dickie Allen from Infant Annihilator Scum, Taylor from Taylor Barber from Left to Suffer, Will Ramos from Lorna Shore, and Franz from Attila. I set something up, and it all started as an idea, and I love manifesting things. I said, man, how cool would it be if we did a 3-song split together? And we're like, everybody has this. So like, what if we did a song together? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, what if we did a song together? So it started out with, I'm like, I'm going to fly you guys down to Florida. We're going to get an Airbnb, and we're going to do a 3-song split. And they're like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. And then I got studio dates locked in, December 17th to the 21st. And then they all said yes. So I pitched this idea to Sweetwater, and they accepted it. So in December, you will see all of these vocalists come together, and we will be at the Sweetwater campus for a week, recording a 3-song EP with all of the big, monumental vocalists. That doesn't include me. That includes the people that I have involved. That's subjective for whoever wants to say that about me. Sure. I've only been in the game for, 9 years. That's really not that long compared to what some of the people have gone through. But Charismatic Voice is probably going to be showing up there as well.
Nice.
With the 3-song EP. And Sweetwater has an Airbnb right down the street where we will be doing funny skits. We're also going to be doing kind of like making fun of like reality TV. And it's this whole entire event. And it's going to be an annual event that I host. And it's going to start here. And we're taking baby steps, but this is going to be absolutely huge for the metal community, because not only is it going to produce video and funny and skit content and TikTok, this and that for years to come, it's going to have 3 songs with some of the greatest vocalists of our generation.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything's locked in. Flights are locked, like we're locking in flights and everything. So I want the world to know, and I feel like this is a great place to start, because you guys have a great platform that to keep your eyes peeled for something incredible in the works. And this is just the beginning, because with the power of Sweetwater, I will eventually be able to create collaborations that you never thought were possible. I want to get bands in massive realms to collaborate with each other for the first time. We're going to start here, with all the people that I had mentioned, and work our way up. So it's going to be an annual event. I kind of want to recreate the same spirit that you would feel as a kid getting excited for Christmas time. I kind of lost that over time.
Yeah.
And I usually have this camping trip that I look forward to. And I even if it's like 9 months before the trip, it makes me feel good. I'm going to create that feeling for the entire world. So this is going to be for the whole world to listen to. And I cannot wait. We have digital service providers involved. We've got, like I said, Sweetwater is there for the full ride. I mean, they're taking total care of us. We're doing cooking with Tyler. We're doing so many different things, and we're trying to get the Charismatic Voice out as well. That's what it's called, right? The Charismatic Voice.
Yeah. That's the YouTube channel. Well, it's like a whole company now, but yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled for that. But I'm glad that you brought them up, because it's this. I can't keep it in any longer. I'm so excited for this idea. I am just so excited. So I can't wait to share that with the world.
Dude, that sounds killer. That's gonna be amazing. That's gonna be. I'm even excited about that, because those are a bunch of, I think, the best vocalists, especially within like the core and core adjacent genres, right?
Yes. There are different strengths across the board.
Yep.
You've got, if everybody uses their signature vocals, there's me with my signature, like, wrestler sort of and then Joe Bad with his diversity, and then you got Dickie, who's like, he sounds like a V12 engine. I mean, he's insane. And then you got Will, who's really got that theatrical feel to him. Franz is great with the fast flow and, being crazy and edgy. We all know that. Yeah. And these guys have incredible social media platforms as well. So like, this is nothing but good. I got the idea because Tom Barber and Joe Bad and I went to a video game convention about 4 years ago. Yeah. And we created a video of us just doing like a 30-second snippet of an NSYNC song. That video still gets shared to this day by a lot of different platforms. So in my mind, I'm like, that was one video, front face camera in the corner of a Scion. You know, it was super simple. If we create professional content, you'll be seeing it for 5+ years. This EP will be listened to for ages. And that's where right now I'm hashing out having a super awesome guitarist write everything. So when we get into the studio, we're good to go.
Dude, that's gonna be killer. I'm pumped on that. You heard it here, folks. I don't even know like what to call that.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here.
Vocal Extravaganza 9000.
I feel like I have to salute. Like, I don't know why. Like, it just like that.
Dude, I want to do the British salute for that shit, bro.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's gonna be cool, man. That sounds awesome. Well, I am pumped on that. And I'll keep an eye out and I'll follow the development because that's gonna be wild. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Honestly, I'm so excited. I don't even know where to start for the announcement, like the assets and everything. Like the ideas are endless right now.
Sure.
Endless. There's so many things to be shared.
Well, we'll keep an eye out, man. I don't even really know what to say about it because it's like that's a lot. That's huge. That's a lot of things going on at once.
It is.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think a lot of people are gonna be excited about it. So keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to start that sentence over, but we're going to leave it in. We're not going to cut that out. Keep your eyes peeled. Leave it in. Keep your eyes peeled, folks. Well, we've just talked a lot about a bunch of amazing vocalists, but we got one right here. No, right, no, this way.
You're pointing to you.
No, I'm pointing to you. So let's jump back in this. You know, the funny thing is this is only a 2-minute and 56-second song, and we're only roughly halfway through. So let's hear some more. Let's keep going. Here we go.
All right, let's give it to him.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I feel like I hear you. Oh, we're almost at the end there. Okay.
Yeah, that's the end.
Oh, that is the okay. Shoot.
Yep.
Well, I feel like now that you told me you're taking your mids and pulling them up into that higher space. I feel like I hear you doing that there. And it sounds really cool, especially like
and
mixed
it still has
in.
that in it too. You know.
Yeah.
And lyrically, especially that end part, like I usually like go off with my own little ideas and stuff like that. And I'm so grateful that the guys loved the pattern at the end there, because in like 6 sentences I was able to call everything out without name dropping or getting in trouble. I was able to call out everything. So the last part is your idols and your prophets, they do it for the profit. They're bitter from all of their choices and the little that they make off it. They're starting to get suspicious from signs of something malicious. Survival mode makes a human vicious. I've witnessed the greatest, so careless and shameless. So I was really able to get my point across on my true, because all of my music comes from true emotion. It doesn't come, like, once again, it doesn't come, I am the abyss. It's like, you know what? I am not the abyss. I am not truly the abyss. All of my lyrics are still true and blue from the heart, from experiences that make me upset. And it really bugged the shit out of me that the people that I looked up to for so long are just, they're fucking dickheads. There are some fucking dickheads who they want to bully you or I know the difference between getting a nudge and being like, you're still a new kid, you know? And then there's a difference. Like, I had an experience with a band where I walked in and I got a new pair of pants, and I knew that they looked silly because I was just in a rush. I'm like, check out the new pants, guys. And they're like, are those new pants, bro? Are those new pants? And I'm just like, yeah, that's the joke. And the vocalist of this band walks in and he goes, nobody's laughing with you. Everybody's laughing at you right now. And
Mm.
my drummer stood up and is like, what are you trying to do right now, man? You know, what are you trying to what are you trying to say to my vocalist right now? Are you trying to make him like, it's like we're all grown ass men here. Why are you trying to make me feel like I'm this like this is a totem pole? That shit
Mhm.
does I don't compete. I used to compete. I'll be transparent. There have been bands that come out like Spite during our big, shining moment, and they outshined, and it made me fucking so angry, and it made me
Mm.
so bitter. And my music didn't come out. It wouldn't come out as good because I was so worried about what the other guys were doing. And I realized that if I keep that mentality up, it has been in years since I've had that type of mentality. I won't make it. I'll become these old fuckers who are still getting paid, 20% of the total earnings because they gave everything away when they were younger because they didn't know any better.
Mhm.
And I learned by realizing, hey, you know what? I don't think we're ready for a label. I don't think we're ready for this just yet. We're still an independent band. We have management, a booking agent, and an accountant. And I think we're just about to sign. We kind of outgrew ourselves for merch. A lot of people were just like, "Hey, where's my merch at?" And it truly makes me feel awful because it's like I want to provide them 24/7 customer service. So we finally are merging with indie merch store because we've totally outgrown ourselves, and it was a slap in the face, but it was also a huge realization that this is what it needs to be, and
Mm.
I couldn't be more proud of myself. It's a good problem to have, but shout out to all those bands. I love those guys with all my heart, especially the Spite guys. They are absolutely having a moment and have had a moment now for years straight. And Traders kind of did this, and that's also because we didn't get the label help, because the label will just have you going like this if you play your cards right.
Mm.
We're
Mm.
just we had the fear of getting shelved. We had the fear of, hey, I have to go home and work a full-time job, and it's been,
Oh.
X amount of years. So to see that growth is good, but you do sacrifice a lot. But now look at some of these bands that grew with us at the same time. They're definitely at a higher level, or they're perceived to be at that higher level because now what labels are doing is they're getting a lot of bands on these playlists that make it seem like things are popping off really huge right now,
Mm.
because a lot of people are looking at, oh, what's their monthly listeners, who gives a fuck, but the people are playing off of that. It's not about the followers on anymore on any social media platforms. It's about who is actively listening to your music. So we only have about 70,000 monthly listeners compared
Mm.
to some of these guys who grew with us who have like 200,000.
Yeah.
I will say that I would say that 60 to 80% of that number that is provided by the labels is true. And it may be a conspiracy. I'm not, you can fact check me on this if you'd like, but I don't believe that number is 100% true. And that's not that's not me being like bullshit. It's just it's like ours is all organic. Everything is 100% organic. We obviously do paid ads. You have no other choice. You have to do paid ads for Facebook and Instagram and what have you.
Mhm.
But if we got that label help, if we got that playlist help and got the curator playlist thing going on Spotify, etc., I strongly believe that we would be right up there in the ranks with the guys. We're the underdogs right now, and I am just fucking fine with that because no matter what, I still have the heavyweight belt in my head, and so does the character that I've created on stage. He knows that he is the greatest of all time. Does Tyler Shelton think that? No. But does the Swamp Father, old Shelton, think that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I get on that stage, I tell myself that I am unbeatable, that I
Mm.
am going to, and that I perceive myself as this almost unapproachable heel wrestling douchebag, and that's just fine because people that have been with me since the
Yeah.
start, people that have been with me since the start, they know me, and I wanted to create this character because when we released our first EP ever, the music was so heavy and so pompous sounding. People actually wouldn't approach me. They wouldn't talk to me. They're like, "Oh, I thought you were an asshole,"
Huh.
because the music was so. It was just like so. Like, it just, man, these are some ungrateful fucking bastards. Like,
Mm.
I want to recreate that with the music again. So I know the bands that I've been on tour with, some of these bitter old fuckers are going to listen to this song and be like, that might be about me. And guess what? You're right. It probably is.
Mm. Yeah.
So, you know,
Ugh.
and it's like, oh, I know. I
Mhm.
so badly wish I could just be the whistleblower in this industry. And I am on the fine line of the old Shelton swamp father character merging with the real me and just name dropping everyone and everything. But then you get in trouble, not with the industry, but you get in trouble with people. And I
Mm.
don't want that kind of hype. I like to call it cheap heat. It's an easy way to get followers in the short term.
Mm.
I am here for the long game. I am here for the long game of things. I'm totally transparent with my with all the people, and eventually some things will eventually come out. But yeah, if you're, you know, if some of my, you know, alleged heroes hear this and they take the time to listen to lyrics, which, you know, 95% of them won't. Yeah, it's about them. You know, I've met some insanely cool people on
Yeah.
Earth, awesome dudes. You
Uh.
know, that was like a smaller tour we took a couple years ago. It was just more of like a like 200, 300 cap rooms. Um, Chelsea Grin guys, fucking awesome dudes.
Mm.
Oceano, Slaughter to Prevail, Spite, awesome dudes. I Am, Victims, like all these bands are awesome. There's just I can't keep naming them, otherwise people are gonna be like process of elimination. But
They
there's
will.
definitely a
Yeah.
few bands I won't name and haven't named because they just treated me like shit. I mean, it wasn't even like I said, I can take a joke, but if you're trying to make other people laugh with some cheap heat, it's like, bro, no, the cameras aren't rolling.
Mhm.
It's just us.
Yeah.
Why are you acting like this? Because I play music too? You're a fucking douchebag. We're playing the same stage.
Mm.
Like even in festivals, it's like, hey, we're on the same stage, buddy. So if you, it's really hard to hear, but in the background, this is where, and my lovely lady Michelle has taught me not to stoop to other people's level. But she didn't say nothing about stooping to other people's level in my music. So
Oh.
in my music, in the back of New World Order,
Yeah.
you can hear me screaming. I lost my voice in 30 seconds at the top of my lungs. I'm like, your fucking torch is going out, and I'm here to take that motherfucking torch right from your hands. I'm not even going to give you the opportunity to pass it. I'm coming for that fucking spot. None of you are safe, and there is nothing you can do about it. And I want to create that character in me that's just like, dude, I can beat him, and I ain't gonna fucking join him. You know,
Sure.
I want them, I want my presence to be known. And I will admittedly say a lot of people don't like when I go on stage and start saying all this stupid shit. You know, like on Blue Ridge, I'm talking to the whole crowd trying to get a crowd gathered, and the crowd started with about 300 or 400 people. And by the end of our set, there's about 800 to 1,200 people watching us. Because
Mhm.
between every song, I'd be like, hey, you motherfucker in line for the porta potty. After you take a shit, get your ass up to this stage. Hey, you getting your fucking Polish sausage and your funnel cake back there. After you spend $40 on your lemonade, get your ass over here, you know? And people
Yeah.
just love that. But I know that there are people behind me, behind the curtain, being like, what a fucking douche. And I love it. I eat that shit for breakfast. I brush my teeth with the with the unnecessary resentment of my enemies. And I'm just gonna keep doing it. There's no stopping me. I'm gonna wear that stupid NASCAR jacket on stage, and I want you to fucking hate it. I want you to hate that character I created because, like I said, I have some awesome true fans. They're gonna come give me a hug. They're gonna come say, "Dude, it's great to see you again." I honestly I have many fans that have like almost never missed a show
Yeah.
because I am transparent. I love to show people the true me because this is what I'm here for.
Sure.
Like one of my biggest influences in the world, and this remains because he is one of the truest men I've ever met, and it's
Oh,
Corpse Grinder.
oh
He
yeah.
is such a huge influence because he actually goes to a lot of shows at Orpheum,
Uh-huh.
in Tampa, and he will take every single picture. He will take every single pit stop. He will talk to every single fan and give them that unique individual experience that I believe every person deserves.
Yeah.
When I go home, Traders is my job. So with all that time off I have, when I am at a show, unless in there have, I mean, there's no such thing as 100% success. I don't care what anybody says. That number doesn't exist. There's going to be a time where you've probably run into me and I have not been receptive, or when I'm stressed, if your eyes are here, I'm looking up here, I'm looking left and right, I'm anxious, I'm stressed out, I'm in a fight with myself or with others that are I'm on tour with. And there have been some times where I could be like, hey, I'm sorry about that, I hope you get a better experience next time. I actually had somebody on social media, and they were like, you treated me like shit.
Hmm.
And I'm like, let's talk about this. And I eventually realized I was doing that thing where I was looking over them and I was anxious, and they couldn't really validate or understand where I'm coming from. So there came a certain point where it's like, hey, buddy, I think you need to look inward because you're creating hatred from nothing. I do understand that your
Hmm.
experience wasn't the best, and if I realize that people haven't had the best experience, I will give them free tickets to the next show. I will give them photos and whatever that they need because everyone deserves it individually. And I'm
Sure.
just trying to be as as close to my fans as I possibly can for as long as I can. Would I like to get to the point where there's so many responses in my DMs that it's like my head's spinning? Absolutely. But at that point, I'm still doing my job. I'm
Mm.
still cutting promos for the tour. I'm still going to do what I'm doing now when I start to get that huge presence online, where even when I take a shit, there's press coverage. I can't I'm excited for that because it's not about whether you will or you won't. It's about when it's going to happen.
Hmm.
Don't be hungry for it. Some people see success in their 40s or late 30s or 30s or whenever.
Mm.
You got
Mm.
to be patient for the grind. And with somebody who has over 20,000 hours in RuneScape since he was only an 11-year-old boy,
Fucking stop.
I will tell you this. It is worth the lava cape. It's worth it. So I 100% encourage people to be yourself. And Grand Theft Auto 3, the hip hop station, you got to be yourself or you're going to find yourself by yourself. I learned that at 12 years old, just a little bit. I'm like, damn, that's some real shit right there. And from that point on, thanks to Rockstar Games in 2001, I was myself.
Dude. Okay. That RuneScape reference out of nowhere fucking took me. That way, okay. So
I know the grind. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. All right. So
Sometimes
a couple things I gotta say. The first
Yeah.
one, you are a pleasure to have on the channel because, and number two, I mean this in a very good way. That was an absolute ride. Right. But I was listening. I was interested in everything you were saying, and by golly, I love talking to somebody who has things to say versus somebody who's like where I'm like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Like why did you write this song? And they're like, because I thought
It's
it was good. And I'm just like, oh, I got a whole video I got to make. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot in there that I could also talk about for hours and hours and hours. I've had some experiences meeting people. Interestingly enough, not so much in metal, but in other genres, meeting people that I really looked up to who were jackasses, and what can you do about it? And then trying not to be that person yourself. Like, I don't get recognized in public. Almost, it's rare, man. But when I do, like, thinking about like, okay, I need to make, for me, like, eye contact is not natural. So like, I had to teach myself, like, look this person in the eye when they're talking to you, but don't be weird about it, and that was a skill I had to learn.
absolutely.
So yeah, I totally, I can totally vibe with what you're saying. And It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see who has things to say. I don't know. We'll find out. But I mean, certainly you're not holding back in this song, because there is the industry call out. Ooh, which reminds me, this is the question I wanted to ask you. Okay.
Yeah.
And this will probably be where we start to wrap it up here, because I just realized it's almost my turn with the baby.
No problem. Like, share, subscribe for part 2.
Like, share, subscribe for part 2. This is a really great question though, because I'm always curious. So I, like you, have a lot of respect for rap and hip hop. I think that the breath support, the articulation, all that technical stuff is really impressive, but also like the lyric writing. Sometimes I hear lyrics that are like so clever and so multifaceted. I'm like, I'm never going to write lyrics that good in my life. So let's say there was a metalhead you're talking to, and they just have they don't want to hear about it. They think rap and hip hop is stupid and dumb. What would you suggest they listen to assuming they're open, right? Because you can't change anybody's mind if they're not open to it. If they were like, okay, give me one rapper or one hip hop artist to change my mind, who would you suggest?
So people who are diehard metalheads are really into the relatable darkness, and they're really into the evil, dissonant kind of minor chord. Like, they want it to still be heavy.
Mm-hmm.
If I really, really had to start, I mean, I don't necessarily listen to him very often anymore, because I listened to him so much as a kid. But Immortal Technique would be a great place to start, because he's fucked up, and you're gonna be like, "Yo, bro, listen to this fucking song about what he's talking about," and it's edgy like metal, it's dark like metal, and the dude he knew how to put shit together lyrically. And then once you get a feel for the lyrical stuff, you start going into now where it's more based off of tones or how ridiculous you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you heard that new song by Lil Yachty?
I'm going to say probably not, no.
There's a song that just came out.
Okay.
And it's called Poland. And he literally just says, "I took the walk to Poland." He just keeps saying over and over again. And he's just talking about bringing codeine into Poland. And it's just so generic, but it's just like almost ironic. And it's just got millions and millions and millions of views. That's where I find myself now, is just listening to ironic ass rap and just being like, "This is fire," rather than back in the day where I'm like, "Damn, this is fire." I kind of say it now, because it's like, it's almost, the world is one big inside joke now. People want to be in on something that others don't understand. So the irony when it comes to hip hop now, where people are just like, fucking, I'm just like, I'm all for it.
Sure.
I love it. I love like Young Thug and all those guys that you can barely even understand.
Right.
Because it's more about like the how they sing it. Because most of the time now, it's not just like, Boss Ross, Diana Ross, course, and like back in the old days where it's like gritty and fucking, it's more about how you can kind of use little rhythms and stuff like that to keep people listening. So I would start with Immortal Technique for like diehard metalheads. And that's like some really dark stuff. And also there is a side project from the RZA from Wu-Tang back in 96. There's a hip hop group called Gravediggers. And it is some of the absolute best, darkest shit I've ever heard in my life. And they have a song called Trippin', where it's about huffing glue in your basement. And it is so fucking cool. The bass line is just doom, 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 doom. It's something you would hear in a hardcore song.
Yeah.
And, you want to see something that can make you stick or make you sick? Stand in front of a tank in the Gaza Strip. And it's just fucking dark. They have a song about, different ways to commit suicide. And it's just really edgy, fucked up shit, which wouldn't be allowed nowadays. But it's still, it just opened my eyes. To hear this, I was like, whoa, that was not good for TV or radio anymore. But to me, it's like, as a young kid, I was like 13, 14, listening to this shit, just like, because it resonated with me. It was over the top. It was evil.
Yeah.
So Gravediggers, Immortal Technique, start there.
You heard it here, folks. And I've never heard Gravediggers before, but I would agree with Immortal Technique entirely.
Dude.
I think that's a great suggestion. And I think your reasoning is very, very good. Because it has a lot of the vibe that you get from a lot of metal music as well. All right. Well, shit, there's, I can already.
It's baby time.
And I can already tell you, and maybe this is a good thing. There are going to be people who are going to be like, "Why you no talk about Moose Scream?" You know what I mean? But we didn't get to it. We didn't get to it. I mean,
yeah, it's no problem at all, man. We're talkers. It's what we do,
Plus,
I can give you. You want me to give you a quick 60-second breakdown? We'll leave it right at the end. Just be like, you know what? All right, so
let's do it because my held for review section on YouTube, I just don't want to. I don't want to see what it'll look like if we don't.
For sure. So this is the original vocal. This is where it all started.
Okay.
They call it the Moose. They call it the Patrick Star. They call it the Beluga Whale. They call it Tyler. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I am using my voice, all of my voice, and then I push over it. So it literally is woo, and then I can add anything I want. Woo. Woo! So when I do it, I have to turn my gain way down for it.
Sure.
It's literally woo! Woo! I'm using woo and at the same time. If I combine all my vocals at the same time, let me see if I can do this right. It would sound like this. And that's like everything that I can do, including the pocket, including the up here. The bubble bath from SpongeBob, where he's like, "Oh, my triple Krabby Patty deluxe, and make it swim on a raft." That's literally, so that's the Moose Scream. It's all voice. The reason, yep, and I can do it back here too. And there's louder ones too. I mean, I can really take off with it, but
sure.
If you want to be unique, the reason why nobody can sound like that vocal is because it's with my speaking voice. I'm the only person that sounds like Tyler Shelton.
That's true.
And that's what makes me unique. So there's your Moose Scream breakdown. So use it to bait these motherfuckers and be like, you gotta watch the whole thing.
You gotta watch it till the end. That's it. I'll leave with this. That's you said two things that I think are really important. Well, that are really important to build on. Number one, it's true. Our speaking voice is always going to sound more unique than our like super heavily distorted like. It's always going to sound more unique because like if you say hello and I say hello, it sounds like two entirely different people, right? So there's that. And then number two, this is going to sound kind of counterintuitive because I am a vocal coach by profession. That's literally all I do. I mean, we get a little ad revenue from here, but not much, right? So it's all. But I will say that as much as I think it is important to, not everybody needs to take lessons. First of all, some people are do well amazingly with self-teaching. But as much as I think it's important to understand what you're doing, focus on the basics, learn proper technique, I think that a part that people often sometimes leave out is just experimenting and trying weird shit.
Absolutely. I have no idea how that came to be.
You were just messing around, and I think that's really important. And I think if people mess around, like they just do stuff and they experiment with sounds, but they know how to do that with a baseline of like safety and just even like a baseline understanding of how breathing works, like even just that, because that's how it all started. So yes, everyone do things properly, but don't be afraid to mess around. Don't be afraid to.
Absolutely.
Like you think the first person to do a tunnel throat was like, all right, I'm going to create a secondary resonance chamber underneath my tongue. No, they were just like, hey, what was it? And they were like, oh, yeah, that's weird. The
marble mouth. Yeah, it reminds me of Zoidberg.
The marble mouth. Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Zoidberg.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, that's it. I love the tunnel throat stuff. I love the, shit like that. But I just wanted to create something unique,
Yeah, for sure. I feel it. Listen, man, we went over so much stuff. I think this is going to be a great video. I think people are really going to enjoy it. So I really appreciate you being here and you taking time out of your day to do this. Everybody watching, get excited for New World Order. Check it out. If you want to listen to it without us, rambling over top of it, make sure to go check out the original video, which will be linked in the description below. Anything else you want to plug? Anything else you want to mention before we call the video good here?
I left you a treat in the Discord.
Oh.
It is a split from Dickie Allen and I.
Oh,
it is a new song.
Nice.
We're going to be playing specifically live on this upcoming tour. I know you got to go, but if you want to play it, you can. Or if you want to leave it just for your ears and for them to, and leave them guessing, be my guest. That song we are playing exclusively on this tour, and that's it. So that's the only time you'll be able to hear this song is going to be when Scumfuck and Traders are playing on this upcoming tour. It's we're going around the whole U.S. We're missing some of the Northwest, and some areas in between. But that song is called Tag Team Champions, and it is Dickie and I are just putting ourselves over as the ones with the title. So
Sure.
Enjoy it.
Here's an idea. What I could play it right now, but then everybody would hear the whole thing. We don't want to do that. So what if instead? Well, I'm going to listen to the whole thing because that's
Absolutely.
But what if instead we play just a snippet of it in the credits during the outro of the video?
Please, would love that.
Because then it truly is. They can only hear it on the tour. Because if we had the whole thing, then they'd be. It takes away from that, right? All right. So
yeah,
with that, we'll play a snippet of it in the outro of the video. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And as I always say, many thanks, much love. I'm out.